Hey guys, today I'll show you a horror thriller TV series named Uzumaki Vortex. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The drama begins with the protagonist, Kiri, who was born and raised in the town of Kurouzu. Shuichi, Kiri's boyfriend, is currently attending high school in a neighboring town. Upon his return, Shuichi gets straight to the point, asking Kiri if she wants to escape the town with him and have a nice hormone yoga session. He has noticed that the spirals in the water have become unusually frequent lately, and even the wind seems to blow in twists. He mentions his father has also been acting strangely, holding himself up in his room every day to study spirals, to the point of obsession. His two eyes can even rotate in different directions independently, with a fluid and unnerving flexibility. During a meal, he throws a violent tantrum because his miso soup doesn't contain fish cakes, and he even has to stir the bathwater into a vortex before getting in for a naked bath. Shuichi feels that the town is fraying his nerves with every passing second. Later, Kiri discovers Shuichi's father has come to her house. He is begging Kiri's father, a potter, to make him a plate with a spiral pattern, even gesturing to show the exact design. Shuichi's father believes that the spiral holds some kind of mystical power. His expression is one of a man completely possessed. Kiri has a very beautiful classmate, Azami, who has a crescent-shaped scar on her forehead. She got it as a child when she fell from a rope net while trying to get a boy's attention. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise, as she and the boy became good friends. After that, Azami became incredibly popular with everyone, a charm she believes comes from the scar's magic. When Kiri goes to the station to meet Shuichi, Azami insists on coming along. However, the moment Shuichi sees Azami, he senses an ominous aura around her, grabbing Kiri and fleeing for their shitty lives. Shuichi tells her that the sinister feeling from Azami is caused by the spiral. When Kiri's father asks her to deliver the finished plate to Shuichi's father, he tells her he no longer needs it. He explains that spirals must be created by oneself. He then demonstrates by rolling his juicy tongue into a spiral, causing Kiri to scream in a chicken voice and run away in terror. At that moment, a large wooden tub that Shuichi's father had ordered is delivered. What could he possibly be planning to do with it? Azami later finds Shuichi and asks him why he is avoiding her sexy body. Suddenly, her crescent-shaped scar twists and transforms into a spiral. Shuichi warns her that the spiral is contaminating the town and she must leave the town at once. Though Shuichi kindly tries to warn her, Azami misinterprets his words, thinking he is trying to get rid of her because he dislikes her. Not long after, Shuichi's obsessed father passes away and is cremated in the town. It is then that Shuichi reveals the true cause of his father's death. He explains that on that day, he couldn't find his father anywhere in the house. He eventually discovered a large tub in his father's study. When he and his mother opened the lid, they were horrified. Shuichi's father had broken every bone in his body to twist himself into a spiral and fit inside the tub. During the cremation, onlookers noticed that the smoke from the pyre rises into the sky and forms a spiral. The townspeople murmur among themselves, taking it as a sinister omen. The tip of the smoke spiral slowly descends, landing in the town's central dragonfly pond. This sight drives Shuichi's mother mad, and she is subsequently sent to a hospital. Azami, worried about Kiri, also comes to visit. A gust of wind blows past, and the scar on her forehead has visibly deepened into a more pronounced spiral. In the hospital, Shuichi's mother screams in terror whenever she sees a nurse with her hair tied in a bun. Meanwhile, a laid-back student, who only ever comes to school when it rains, is late again. When the teacher asks him why he only attends on rainy days, the laid-back student can only repeatedly apologize. During a volleyball game, the laid-back student moves in slow motion, sabotaging his team and infuriating his bully teammate. In the locker room, the bully boy and his friends gang up on the laid-back student, strip off his clothes, and drag him into the hallway for everyone to see, causing the girls to shriek and pretend not to see. As the bully boy laughs, he is shocked to see a spiral pattern on the laid-back student's back. Back at the hospital, Shuichi's mother shaves her head to avoid spirals and even cuts off her own fingerprints. In her eyes, all spiral-shaped objects reflect the image of her husband at the moment of his death, telling her that she should also become a spiral. When Shuichi visits, he has to wear gloves just so his mother can remain slightly calm. That night, Kirie runs into Azami again. The spiral on Azami's head has now consumed her forehead and has just swallowed her right eye. Kirie screams in terror. Azami uses a male classmate to lure Shuichi out. When the boy confronts her about being used, the spiral on Azami's head viciously sucks his entire body into it, including his smelly parts. Then the spiral on her own body begins to pull her in until she completely vanishes without a trace. One day, the laid-back student is late for school again. A giant spiral is now bulging from his back, sparking gossip among the students. The scene shifts to a couple students whose families are against their relationship. One day, they watch two snakes tightly coiled together as they mate. As for Kiri, a prank boy who enjoys scaring people, tries to get her attention by startling her again. He doesn't realize this has the opposite effect, and Kiri avoids him in annoyance. On her way home, she sees the girl's family preventing her from being with her crush, pushing him to the ground. The two students' families live in a dilapidated longhouse, with each family occupying one side. Perhaps because neither family wants to accept their poverty, they have a terrible relationship and are deeply dysfunctional, refusing to let the two be together. The couple plans to elope and leave the town in 2 days. Shuichi tells Kirie that the longhouse is also cursed by the spiral. He explains that people possessed by the spiral's power develop an intense craving for attention. Shuichi notices that Kiri's hair has suddenly grown much longer and has started to curl on its own. Kiri has a classmate braid it for her, but during class, the braids suddenly come undone and her hair curls up again on its own. At that moment, something crawls up the outside of the window. It's the laid-back student, who has truly transformed into a giant snail, his eyes having evolved into stalks. Kiri asks a hairdresser to cut her hair, but the hair seems to come alive, refusing to be cut. In retaliation, it wraps around Kiri's chick neck and chokes her. Her family members also stare at her curly hair as if mesmerized. In the end, Kiri can only let it be, arriving at school looking ostentatious. All the students, including the teacher, are captivated by her hair. Meanwhile, the snail laid-back student is locked in a cage at school, becoming a pet. His parents come to see him, but they refuse to believe that the creature before them is their son. Only Kiri shows him kindness, giving him some water from a tap. Kiri's popularity is now at an all-time high. The prank boy brings her a gift, which she politely declines. As a result, the prank boy is immediately caught in the wheel of a passing car and dies, ending his pranking life. On another rainy day, another snail crawls up the building. It turns out to be the bully boy who bullied the laid-back student. He too is put in the cage, where the two former antagonists, now best buddies, begin to mate. A girl who is jealous of Kiri finds her hair has also transformed. She confronts Kiri on the school grounds, and their hair begins to battle. Shuichi rushes out and cuts the jealous girl's hair with scissors, saving Kiri. He then tries to cut Kiri's hair but gets entangled in it. Thanks to his protagonist's luck, Shuichi manages to cut Kiri's hair and saves himself. The jealous girl, however, becomes the town's most stylish girl, but her hair drains her life force, and the exhausted jealous girl leans against a utility pole, gasping for breath as her hair wraps itself around it. Kiri and Shuichi discover that the bully boy has escaped. Following their trail up a mountain, their teacher finds the eggs they have laid. Since snails are hermaphrodites, they can reproduce together. To prevent future problems, the teacher stomps on the disgusting eggs. Kiri then remembers the couple students and goes with Shuichi to the station to help them elope. Although the couple arrives, their families have found them. They flee to the seaside with their families in hot pursuit. Eventually, they can no longer run. The boy is brutally beaten. Suddenly, their powers erupt. Their bodies twist like snakes until they are entwined together, forming a rope that can never be separated, and they plunge into the sea together. Things keep getting worse. Many townspeople find they can no longer walk in a straight line, instead just spinning in circles. It is said this is caused by looking directly at the light emitted from the seaside lighthouse. At this point, the teacher also shows up to class, having transformed into a snail man. Several people who went to investigate the lighthouse the previous night have mysteriously disappeared. Kiri's younger brother ignores her warnings and goes with his friends to explore the lighthouse. Kiri quickly chases after them. The staircase is one large spiral. Kiri climbs and climbs, feeling as if she can never reach the top. Suddenly, she discovers several charred bodies. Kiri finds the two boys and tells them to go back down immediately while she continues up to find her brother. She finds the lighthouse lens, which is engraved with a concentric circle pattern. The glass has melted from extreme heat, forming a spiral pattern. The sun is about to set, and the lens begins to glow again. It's the heat from the light that melted the glass, and it's what caused the charred bodies. Kiri tells her brother to get downstairs quickly, and the three of them scramble down. The other boy is consumed by a wave of heat and dies. Although shaken, Kiri and her brother manage to escape. Turning back to Shuichi's mother, although she has removed everything spiral-shaped from her body, she still has her cochlea. As the doctor asks about her condition, Shuichi notices a diagram of the cochlea on an anatomical chart on the wall. It would be disastrous if his mother saw it. Lately, mosquitoes have become abnormally numerous. Outside the window, a pillar of male mosquitoes, a mating swarm, flies in a spiral. At the same time, a new batch of pregnant women feeling unwell after being bitten by mosquitoes are brought to the hospital. Because the maternity ward is full, Kirie's cousin is placed in Kirie's room. As her cousin unpacks, Kirie finds a strange object and asks what it is, but her cousin doesn't say. Late at night, her cousin's eyes snap open, revealing a terrifying expression. The next day, 2 patients are found dead in their rooms under bizarre circumstances, their bodies covered in puncture wounds as if their blood had been drained. Panic spreads through the hospital. Kirie tells her cousin what happened, but her cousin seems completely calm and unconcerned. Shuichi arrives, and upon seeing the mosquitoes, he sprays insecticide everywhere, causing Kirie's cousin to cough uncontrollably. That night, the mosquitoes buzz incessantly. Kirie's cousin remarks that she doesn't mind them. In the middle of the night, Kirie is woken by the mosquitoes and instinctively goes into the hallway to investigate. She sees a group of pregnant women with pale faces shuffling towards her, each holding a hand drill. They then enter various patient rooms. Kirie peeks inside one and is horrified to see a pregnant woman drilling holes into a patient and then sucking his blood. The woman turns and sees Kirie. Terrified, Kirie turns and flees, but is pursued by the women. A male patient comes out to see what's happening, and the women shift their target, chasing him into his room. The man is hypnotized, and the women swarm him. A nurse, hearing the commotion, rushes over, but is instantly pounced upon and becomes their meal. Finally sated, they turn their attention back to Kirie, who saw their secret. Kirie runs back to her room, begging her cousin for help, but her cousin approaches her, also holding a hand drill. Just as she's about to be attacked, Kirie finds the insecticide Shuichi left behind and sprays it wildly, managing to drive the monstrous women away. Elsewhere, a centipede crawls into Shuichi's mother's ear. She pulls it out and throws it to the floor, where it curls up into the shape of Shuichi's father, who says he should become a spiral too. Determined to check if there's a spiral in her ear, his mother rushes to the director's office to look at the anatomical chart. Fortunately, the director had already removed it and lies to her, saying there are no spirals in human ears, managing to coax her back to her room. However, the liquid in her IV drip begins to swirl. Terrified, she rips out the IV tube, which coils into a circle on the floor. Shuichi's mother finds a pair of scissors and stabs them into her own ear, and just like that, she is also gone. The smoke from her cremation forms another spiral and enters the dragonfly pond. Back with Kirie, her recent hospital meals have contained strange mushrooms. Kirie thinks they taste like blood and refuses to eat them. Shuichi senses something is wrong with her, but everyone else says the mushrooms are delicious and can't get enough. In the newborn nursery, the infants are whispering to each other. They want to return to their mother's wombs. A large mushroom grows out of one infant's stomach. A scream comes from the delivery room where Kirie's cousin is. The two rush in to see the floor covered in mushrooms. It turns out they aren't mushrooms at all, but discarded placentas that have begun to grow. The babies don't want to be independent. They want to remain infants forever and return to the womb, so they have reformed their umbilical cords and placentas. A doctor has just performed surgery to put the baby back inside Kirie's cousin. Her cousin screams that she wants to drink blood. The doctor holds Kirie and presents her to the cousin, who extends a cactus-like tongue. At the last moment, Kirie breaks free and pushes the doctor towards her cousin instead. Other patients rush in to eat the mushrooms, providing the cousin with a new supply of blood. Afterward, Kirie is finally discharged from the hospital. She invites Shuichi over for a meal. Halfway through, Shuichi suddenly throws his plate down. It has a spiral pattern on it. The plate is a piece of art made by Shuichi's father from the clay around Dragonfly Pond. There seem to be faces on the pile of pottery. A closer look reveals the faces of Shuichi's parents. Shuichi hears voices calling him from the kiln, as if his parents are crying for help. He forcibly smashes the kiln open. For some unknown reason, Typhoon number 1 has stalled directly over the town, showing no signs of leaving. The meteorological agency is baffled by this unprecedented event. Shuichi goes to Kirie's house and pulls her outside. The typhoon, as if sentient, seems to be chasing her. Shuichi points to the eye of the storm and says that this ominous vortex of clouds has fallen in love with Kirie. While fleeing, Kirie's foot gets pinned. A girl comes to help but is sucked up into the typhoon's eye, only to be thrown back down moments later. The typhoon had mistaken the girl for Kirie. The two hide under a bridge. The typhoon spots Kirie through a reflection and attacks their location. In the nick of time, Shuichi pulls Kirie into a sewer, but the water in the sewer swirls into a vortex, flinging them both into the air. Later, the two are rescued from the edge of Dragonfly Pond. Typhoon number 1 was sucked into the pond as well. Now, many homes in the town, including Kirie's, are destroyed by the strong winds. Kirie's family is forced to move into an abandoned longhouse rumored to be haunted, but at this point, any shelter is a blessing. Late at night, a peeping eye peeks through a hole in the wall. Kirie's little brother is terrified of ghosts. A neighbor boy comes over and tells Kirie that an old woman and her son live in the adjacent unit. The strange noises at night are the son's son's moans. He has a strange disease that has made him hideous, which is the source of the ghost rumors. After falling asleep, a terrifying moan comes from next door again. Kiri runs over to check and finds the old woman crying like an old baby. She says her son is dead like a piece of dry shit. Kiri takes one look at the body and is horrified. The neighbor boy mentions that he saw many small circular holes on the ground where the young man slept. It turns out the neighbor boy has been the one spying on Kiri. He has become obsessed with her. At that moment, he discovers many horns growing on his hands. Late at night, terrifying long horns sprout from the walls. The neighbor boy has transformed just like the young man. He grabs and eats a rat, then lunges at Kiri. Kiri opens the door and runs. The typhoon blows a wooden plank that impales the neighbor boy, saving Kiri. Just then, the prank boy who died in the car crash reanimates and charges at Kiri. His body falls apart, but he lunges again using a spring. Kiri dodges just in time. The spring was from a car's suspension system. After this terrifying experience, the shaken Kiri and her family move out of the haunted longhouse. After the assault of Typhoon number 2, typhoons number 3, 4, 5, and 6 strike the town in succession. Afterwards, all contact with the town is lost. Countless media outlets send teams to investigate, but none return. A female reporter from Toyo Radio arrives in the town with her colleagues. As soon as they enter the town, they are hit by a violent tornado that instantly flips their car. Only the reporter miraculously survives. She heads into the town for help, feeling as though the very air she breathes is a whirlwind. The reporter sees that the typhoon has left the town in ruins, with debris and rubble everywhere. She watches as a media helicopter is sucked directly into Dragonfly Pond. Bodies are strewn everywhere. The reporter is stunned by the vortex in Dragonfly Pond. At that moment, 4 tornadoes head towards her. Kiri and her companion quietly tell the reporter to hide quickly. They explain that a group called the Wind Riders clan controls the tornadoes, and they watch as the clan destroys the town's elementary school in minutes. In this apocalyptic world, some have lost their humanity. Kiri explains that now, any sudden movement in the town can trigger a powerful tornado. It must be the energy from the 6 typhoons swallowed by Dragonfly Pond that has changed the town. Even speaking too loudly can create a tornado like a butterfly effect. Kiri takes the reporter to the longhouse where she is staying, which is already packed with people. Seeing a newcomer, they all complain bitterly. Shuichi mutters that everyone has gone mad. Kiri's family and the reporter are all driven out of the longhouse. Strangely, only the longhouses seem immune to destruction by the tornadoes. Just then, the reporter spots several large snail people. The number of snail people has suddenly increased. A boy smells roasted meat and follows the scent to find the Wind Riders clan roasting and feasting on a snail person. The clan invites Kiri's group to join them, which Kiri of course refuses. Her father steps up to protect her but is pushed and turns into a tornado that flies away. Kiri shoves one of the thugs. Seeing this, the thugs team up to attack Kiri and the reporter. At the critical moment, Shuichi intervenes and saves them. The thugs are sucked into the vortex of Dragonfly Pond. Kiri, the reporter, and Shuichi meet 2 volunteers, a handsome young man and his sturdy friend, who came to the town on a rescue mission. They've tried to leave the town several times but have failed. No matter which road they take, they always end up circling back. They can never find an exit. Even the tunnels have become spirals. In the end, they were forced to return to town. Escape by sea is also impossible. Someone built a raft but was swallowed by a vortex after paddling only a short distance. After finding a safe place for her mother and brother, the group continues to search for a longhouse that isn't full. At this point, one of the young men feels something on his back. He lifts his shirt to reveal a snail shell growing there. It seems he too will soon become a snail person. Shuichi speculates that because everyone is moving more slowly, the number of snail people is increasing. Sure enough, another man's back begins to change. They hope that moving into a longhouse can break the snail curse. The group finds another longhouse, but the people inside refuse to open the door. The man decides to use force, and with others, pulls on the door. A head pokes out and blows them away. The men retaliate by blowing back, then use the opportunity to break down the door, only to find the people inside have transformed. Due to a constant influx of people, their bodies, through constant squeezing and shoving, have gradually become entangled with each other, to a point where they can no longer be separated. They have pushed out from both ends of the longhouse, using wooden debris to extend the structure outward from both sides. At that moment, a rescue ship sent by the Navy is also swallowed by a vortex. Late at night, the starving people find the leftover snail person meat from the Wind Riders' feast and begin to devour it. To survive, Kiri, the reporter, and Shuichi are also forced to eat the snail person meat. When Kiri goes back to find her mother, she discovers she has been blown away and her brother is beginning to turn into a snail. The group decides to try climbing over the small mountain to escape the terrifying town. Shuichi keeps muttering that they are cursed by the spiral, but he follows them anyway. On the way, way, Kiri sees the young volunteer diligently working to expand the longhouse. The group walks and walks on the mountain, but never seems to reach the station. Suddenly, they run into the sturdy friend. He says they were following Kiri's group up the mountain. He realizes the town's roads are all connected in a loop. They can never get out. The group doesn't give up and continues on, but they feel like they are just walking in circles. At this point, another person transforms into a snail. The sturdy friend and his companions start drooling. The new snail person retracts into its shell. The sturdy friend climbs into the shell to taste the delicacy. Kiri's group flees from these horrifying people. They try to determine their direction using the rings of a tree, but Shuichi sees his father's face in them again. He collapses in fear, and the hands on his watch also turn into spirals. After walking for a while, Kiri's group once again encounters the sturdy friend's group. He suspects Kiri's brother is hiding a snail shell on his back. The reporter quickly lies, saying it's just a backpack which manages to fool them, but by now her brother has grown antennae. Kiri acts fast, but then his shoes fall off and he completely transforms into a snail. Kiri's group quickly flees with the brother, reaching the edge of a cliff. With great pain, Kiri uses a stick to drive her brother away. The sturdy friend and his companions, longing for the taste of raw snail, are cursed by the spiral and transform into grotesque figures. Kiri, Shuichi, and the reporter decide to head back to town, only to see that all the longhouses have been extended into a massive spiral. The sight is spectacular. It seems time in the mountains flows differently from time in the town. A day in the mountains was several years in town. Shuichi deduces that the longhouses were originally built in a spiral shape but decayed over time, and what they are seeing now is just a restoration of their original form. The group heads towards the center of the spiral looking for Kiri's mother. The path is littered with the bodies of twisted people thrown out from the longhouses. The young volunteer who is helping clear the bodies recognizes them. He tells them that the residents are still expanding the longhouses, and soon they will all connect. He has heard that a couple is making pottery by Dragonfly Pond, and that they must be Kiri's parents. The three of them set out to find her parents, navigating the maze-like longhouses. That night, they sit down to rest. Shuichi speculates that this cycle has been repeating in the town for a very long time, with the spiral's curse descending every few hundred years. The reason no legends remain is likely because everyone who could pass down the memories died at the same time. The next day, the three continue on and see a cremation in progress. They realize that by heading towards the center, they can reach Dragonfly Pond. An opening is not yet sealed, and they decide to pass through. But the reporter is a step too slow and is sealed inside the longhouse as all the buildings connect. After a violent tremor, the town falls silent. The people in the longhouses are gone. The two finally reach Dragonfly Pond and descend the stone steps. Along the way, Kiri's foot is grabbed by a twisted person who begs her to take him down to the pond. Shuichi tries to pull him off, but is dragged down with the twisted person into the abyss. Kiri has no choice but to continue down alone. After an arduous journey, she finally reaches the bottom of the pond, where countless twisted people are piled up. The vortex before her emits a sinister yet brilliant light. The twisted people all stare intently at it. Kiri finally finds her parents. Shuichi points to the spiral ruin and says that this thing, which seems to possess life and consciousness, is the truth. The vortex draws people's gazes to its center, spontaneously luring the people on the surface at fixed intervals. Neither of them has the strength to escape anymore. And so, the two of them are consumed by the spiral curse of the town, which is finally pacified. After an unknown number of years, a new town is rebuilt on the ruins, and a new generation begins to live there. But it is foreseeable that this evil curse is not over. The ruin will one day awaken again. Uzumaki is a 2024 horror anime based on JunJi Ito's manga of the same name. The anime condenses a lot of the plot and dialogue and makes some changes. In the original manga, stories like the Snail people, the cursed hair, the twisted bodies, and the scar were originally complete standalone chapters. The anime has rearranged these stories, weaving them throughout the entire series, which causes many plot points to feel abrupt. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.